Hello folks, my name is George Tanos. I'm a former IRS agent, former BitBay.com CEO, and a convicted felon. My charges were tax fraud and securities fraud. At the beginning, when I first learned about my indictment, I was really scared. I thought, oh boy, the government said they wanted to give me 28 years. And then we agreed on 8 years. And when I went to be sentenced, my attorney was clever enough to ask the judge for a program called RDAP. And RDAP is, if I participate in it, is put on by the Federal Bureau of Prison. It can reduce my sentence by 12 months, up to 12 months. So the judge looked at all the circumstances and he decided he's only going to convict me for 33 months to serve in prison. When I went to prison, I went through the interviews and I was accepted into RDAP. And it's a 9-month process. And once I go through it, then I get my reductions in my sentence. And just to give you a quick background, what RDAP is all about, people who participate in RDAP, they have 10 times greater odds of having employment stability and housing stability than those that don't participate in the program. 10 times, that's a lot. The other thing I'd like to mention to you is that people who participate in RDAP were 2 times less likely to engage in criminality than those who do not participate in programs. So here we go again, folks. Reduction of crime. People who participate in RDAP were nearly 4 times less likely to engage in substance use like drugs, alcohol, and so forth than those who did not participate in the RDAP program. What happens here, what we're talking about, is recidivism. What does recidivism mean? Recidivism is the tendency of a convicted criminal to reoffend. So RDAP reduces recidivism rate. And what that means, here is some statistics. Within 3 years of release, of an inmate, about 2/3, 67.8% of the released prisoners were rearrested within 3 years. Within 5 years, 3/4 of them were rearrested, 75% within 5 years. Of those prisoners who were rearrested, more than half were arrested by the end of the first year. So as you can see here, by participating in RDAP, it will reduce recidivism. What does that do to our cities? What does it do to our country? It reduces the crime rate. The problem with RDAP and by the Federal Bureau of Prison is they only allow this program to offenders who have they only allow it to non-violent offenders. So the ones who have violent or sexual abuse crimes will be ineligible to the program. Felony, misdemeanor convictions of robbery, rape, assault, child sexual abuse, use of firearms, weapons are not allowed in the program. And I thought to myself, why not everybody should be allowed in the program? What is the use of putting somebody behind bars for 5-10 years when the person is forgotten by society? Then here they come out into society, haven't learned anything, and now what else do they have to do but commit another crime to go back to prison? So by going through the RDAP program, and we've seen the statistics to reduce all the crime, why not give it to everybody? Well, I thought, you know what, let me be the first one. I can establish something to offer it to all prisoners, and then we can enjoy a nice country. Not only prisoners will actually get a good use out of this program, even people in general. your married life, to those of you who are married. You know, children, I'll tell you a little story. My granddaughter, the other day, we're riding in the car, and she's 11 years old, and my grandson is 8 years old. They got into a little quarrel there, and next thing I know, my granddaughter punches him in the face. The first instinct from anybody is to yell at her, get really angry, maybe spank her. Some parents use violence even on their kids, and then put them in timeout. How does that help the child? It doesn't. The child needs to understand what they are struggling with. For example, RDAP teaches us one of the elements here, there's like more than 40 things we learn about our attitudes, is humility, where we think we are better than someone else. We learn about caring. So here we know right away, my granddaughter thinks she's better than him. So she, in her thought, okay, I can hit him. She has no caring for him, which is not good. And then another thing she is struggling with is entitlement. She feels she's entitled to whatever the problem was, and he didn't listen to her, and therefore she took force against him. And this happened in friendship, it happens in marriages, and it happens between kids, at school, bullying, everywhere. So what I'm trying to say here is everybody needs this. So what happened with my granddaughter, I sat here and I said, okay, let's talk about this. What did he do to you? Well, I wanted my cell phone back, and he didn't give it to me. And then he made me mad, so now she's blaming him for getting mad, because you have to remember one thing, nobody controls your thought, which controls your feelings, but you. So don't blame anyone. You are the one that controls all that. So she's blaming him, so she got mad at him. Because she got mad at him, boom, she punched him. I explained to her, I said, okay, honey, you have to remember, number one, he can't control you. You can only control your own self. So in your mind, instead of saying, oh, he's being selfish, he's not giving me what I want back from him, you can say, well, you know what, he's younger than I am. Maybe I need to use some caring with him, and we're both equal. And you can explain to him that you need your cell phone back because you need to do this and that. And by doing that, you know that he's young, he doesn't think as mature as you are. You can control your feelings, so your feeling doesn't get to your emotions, which again, it goes into your attitude, and then it resorts to violence. So that's what happens here in society. A person is out of money, ends up drinking, maybe smoking pot, decides, okay, I'm entitled, that's a criminal thought, by the way, to money. So they'll go out and they rob a bank, rob a liquor store, and all that. I hope you're getting the point here. So RDAP is all about cognitive behavioral modification. So what we do on the website, you can read up a little bit about it, that I put up some. I contacted the company that produced the RDAP program for the Federal Bureau of Prisons and asked them if I can purchase the material. They agreed, and I told them about what I'm doing, and they agreed, and I went ahead and purchased enough to adopt on my own 25 inmates, which I have done. I've started. Right now I have 5 people in the program, and it's going very well. So what we do here, we have journals. So the first one we send them is the orientation package, which deals with the 8 core attitudes. And the 8 core attitudes is like open-mindedness. For example, I mentioned humility. But even if we talk about open-minded, do you remember you're talking to somebody and it just doesn't get through to them? Why? They shut you out. They cut you off. Cut off is another criminal action, actually. So here you're trying to portray a message and the person is not willing to listen to you. So here we have a listening problem. We cover all this. So here, objectivity, humility, open-mindedness, responsibility, honesty. What do you say about honesty? How many times you have catch people lying to you, not being honest? How many times were you not honest? By learning all this right here, you begin to recognize human behavior. By recognizing it in others, you can hold them accountable. And more than anything else, you recognize it in yourself, and therefore you can hold your own self accountable. When you do that, guess what? You become a much, much better person. Same with kids. No more time out. Teach your kids these things. It'll help. The second one we send them is rational thinking. And rational thought, we have absolutes, I can't, rhetorical questions. You know what a rhetorical question is? For example, you know that your buddy is a die-hard Broncos fan and they lost the game, right? So you walk up to him and you say, hey man, what do you think of that game last night? It's like, you know how he thinks, he's sad about it, right? But no, you're pushing it. Should, statement of facts, everybody is a loser, you know, nobody cares. Have to, need to, must, you have to do this, you need to do this. We also then get into the criminal lifestyles. We get into why do people become criminals, what it is that they think, when, like, nullification, making excuses, blaming, justification. I'm just mentioning a few here so you can, a cutoff is ignoring responsible action. I mentioned that before to you. After this here, we get into lifestyle and balance. What does it take to live a good lifestyle? How you balance your lifestyle. We get into recovery and maintenance. How do you recover from everything that you've done? How do you recover now? You have all the tools that we've taught you here, including confronting and leveling. Most people just get mad. You did something, I'm so angry. No, confront the person, level with them. Don't be aggressive, be assertive. We teach all that. We teach active listening. It's very important. The other day I answered my phone, the phone rings, I answered it, the person on the other line says, I said, hello, this is George, may I help you? And the person says, oh hi, may I speak to George? It's like, hey man, weren't you listening to me? I just told you who I am. Active listening, very important. Living with others, right, is also very important as well. How do you live with others? How do you balance everything? You know what's really interesting is people in prison, they have a release date and they get out and they feel that they're gonna go home, balloons, welcome home dad, God we missed you, rather than that really doesn't happen. You know what, everybody is going on with their own lives. You're back to society, but you need to start fresh. We teach the inmates how to control their feelings by them recognizing their attitudes. And that's what we're all about. So how much does this cost us? Bottom line, it cost me $25 for the kit to send to the individual. We send them one book at a time. It takes 9 months because there's 40 different things we need to get into, which is about, each one is about 1 week at a time. Then we have to postage. Then on top of postage, we send them $25 by Western Union. Western Union charges like $3.95 each time we do this. So that's like $30 there. So to begin with, we hope to receive a startup fee of about $70 between mailing and postage and all that. And then we communicate with the inmate via email constantly. We group them in 5 participants. They discuss things amongst them. I communicate by email to them. They hold each other accountable. I assign their homework each and every week, and we keep in touch via email. It's a crime reduction. Just so you know, all these right here, these are letters I receive all the time, hundreds of letters of inmates wanting to be adopted. I don't have the money by myself, so I need your help. So we can all make a difference. Eventually, I will take this into the public sector as well for us, you know, so husbands and wives can learn it, kids can learn it and all that. But right now we're beginning here, so please, I welcome you to join us, and you can look at the website. It discusses the fees and everything. I thank you for listening to me, and I hope this all makes sense to you, so participate in it. God bless you all.